Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Fluent Talk podcast. I'm your host, Jennifer, and with me, as always, is my co-host, Alex. We are so glad you've joined us today for what I promise will be an in-depth conversation about a topic we all have a personal connection to, the incredible, sometimes frustrating, but ultimately rewarding journey of learning English.
Hey everyone, it's great to be back. And you're right, Jennifer, this is a topic that resonates with so many of our listeners. It's a journey filled with so many highs and lows, from the excitement of finally understanding a new word to the deep frustration of hitting a plateau and feeling like you're not making any progress at all.
Oh, I know that feeling so well. That sense of being completely overwhelmed is so common, especially at the beginning. I remember when I first started, my biggest hurdle wasn't just the grammar, but the fear of making mistakes. I was so terrified of sounding silly that I'd just stay silent in group conversations.
Yes, the dreaded mental paralysis. I spent so much time in that trap. You'd have a perfect sentence ready in your head, but then you'd start to overthink it. Is this the right verb tense? Is for or since the correct preposition? By the time you've mentally checked all the boxes, the conversation has moved on. It's exhausting and completely counterproductive.
It's a vicious cycle. But you know what helped me break out of it? I completely reframed my mindset. I stopped seeing mistakes as failures and started seeing them as opportunities. Every time I said something wrong and someone corrected me, my brain created a new connection. It was a data point for me. How did you get past that initial fear?
That's a great approach. For me, the real game changer was finding a practice partner, someone who was also learning English and was willing to talk with me every single day, even if it was just for 15 or 20 minutes. The pressure was gone because we were both in the same boat, making mistakes and laughing them off together.
That's such a crucial point. Speaking practice is non-negotiable. But what if you can't find a partner? I have a tip for that. I used to talk to myself in English when I was doing chores. I would literally narrate what I was doing out loud. Okay, I am washing the dishes now. The water is warm. I'm drying this plate with a towel. It sounds a bit silly, but it forced my mouth and brain to connect in real time. It's an easy way to get in a lot of practice without any judgment.
That's not silly at all. It's genius. It's all about creating a personal, immersive environment. Now, let's move on to the dreaded topic of grammar. How did you handle that endless list of rules and exceptions?
I realized that just memorizing tables of irregular verbs was getting me nowhere. What truly cemented the grammar for me was using it in context. Instead of just studying the past perfect tense, I would try to write a short paragraph about something that had happened to me before another event. For example, I had already eaten lunch by the time my friend arrived. This active application made the rules stick in a way that rote memorization never could.
That makes so much sense. I did something similar, but I also paired it with reading. I started with simple children's books, then moved on to young adult novels. The key was choosing something that was slightly above my current level, but not so difficult that I got discouraged. Reading exposes you to so many different sentence structures and new vocabulary and context, which helps you internalize the grammar without even realizing it.
Yes, and that's the point where you stop thinking, oh, that's the present perfect continuous, and you just start to understand and use it naturally. It's all about application. Let's move on to listening. This is often the hardest skill to develop. How did you tackle it?
It's incredibly challenging. The speed, the different accents, the connected speech. My method was a gradual immersion process. I started with very easy, slow-paced podcasts specifically for English learners. Then, I'd watch TV shows with subtitles, first in my native language to understand the plot, then with English subtitles, and eventually I could turn them off completely.
That's a perfect progression. I'd also recommend finding a topic you're already passionate about. If you love science, find a science podcast. If you're into comedy, watch stand-up specials. When you're genuinely interested, a lot of the learning happens subconsciously.
This brings us to another critical point: accents and pronunciation. They can be a source of anxiety for many people. The infamous teach sound, for example. I remember spending so much time just trying to place my tongue correctly, but what I realized is that accent isn't about being perfect. It's about being clear. Pronunciation is a physical skill, not just a mental one. You have to train your mouth muscles to make sounds they're not used to.
Exactly. My advice is to find a pronunciation guide online and literally sit there and practice making the sounds. Don't worry about sounding silly. Another great tip is shadowing. Listen to a native speaker say a sentence and then immediately try to repeat it, mimicking their intonation and speed. It's like acting, and it's one of the most effective ways to train your ear and your mouth.
Oh, shadowing is fantastic. It forces you to pay attention to the musicality of the language, the rhythm, and stress patterns. We often focus on individual words, but in English, the flow between words is just as important. For example, "What are you doing?" sounds more like "What are you doing?" In fast, natural speech. You have to train your ear to catch those nuances.
That's so true. And what about the fear of a strong accent? Some people worry that their accent will make them sound less intelligent or professional.
That's a really common fear, but it's a misconception. A foreign accent is a sign of bravery, of a person who has taken on the challenge of learning a new language. The key is intelligibility. As long as you are clear and your pronunciation doesn't hinder communication, your accent is part of your unique identity. Embrace it. Don't try to sound like a native speaker. Focus on being an effective communicator.
I love that. And speaking of communication, let's talk about some of the modern tools and resources that are available today. The landscape has changed so much. We're no longer just confined to textbooks and audio CDs.
It's incredible. We have an embarrassment of riches. Language learning apps like Duolingo, Babbel, and Memrise are fantastic for building a daily habit and making vocabulary practice a bit more fun. They're not a complete solution, but they're great for consistent, bite-sized practice.
And let's not forget YouTube. It's a gold mine. You can find channels dedicated to grammar lessons, pronunciation guides, and even vloggers who expose you to real, everyday English. You can find content on literally any topic you're interested in, from cooking to coding, all in English. This taps into our earlier point about making the process enjoyable.
Yes, and let's not overlook the power of online communities. Websites like Reddit or language exchange apps allow you to connect with native speakers or other learners from all over the world. You can practice your writing, ask questions, or even find a new practice partner. The internet has made the world a much smaller place for language learners.
I completely agree. The key is to find what works for you and what keeps you engaged. Don't just do what a textbook tells you to do.
This brings us to another critical point: cultural understanding. Language is not just about words and grammar, it's a reflection of a culture. Idioms like "pulling my leg" or "it's raining cats and dogs" make no sense if you don't understand the cultural context.
Absolutely. To truly become fluent, you have to move beyond literal translation and start understanding the nuances, the humor, and the unspoken rules of the culture. Watching movies and TV shows, listening to podcasts, and reading articles from different English-speaking countries all help with this.
That's a huge point. It's about building a holistic understanding of the language. But what about when that motivation starts to fade? The feeling of being stuck or hitting a plateau, it happens to everyone.
It does. The plateau is real. What I found helpful was to change my routine. If I was focused too much on grammar, I'd switch to watching a fun TV show for a week. If I was tired of reading, I'd try a new podcast. Sometimes a break from one type of learning and a focus on another can refresh your mind and get you past that stuck feeling.
That's excellent advice. And let's not forget the power of setting small, achievable goals. Don't say, I'm going to be fluent in 6 months. Instead, say, this week I'm going to learn 10 new words and use them in a sentence. Or, I'm going to watch 1 episode of a show in English. These small wins build momentum and keep you motivated.
Absolutely. And remember, this is a marathon, not a sprint. The goal isn't to be perfect. The goal is to be understood. The pursuit of perfection can be paralyzing. So, to all our listeners, take a deep breath. You're making progress every single day, even if it doesn't feel like it.
That's a perfect note to end on. It's a marathon, not a race.
Well, that about wraps up our discussion for today. It was great chatting with you about this, Alex. It's a topic that never gets old.
Likewise, Jennifer. It's always a pleasure. And to our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. We hope this conversation has given you some inspiration and practical tips for your own English learning journey. Remember, you've got this.
We'll be back next week with another episode. Until then, keep practicing and remember every little bit counts. Goodbye for now.
Goodbye, everyone.